So as you guys guessed it, this video is basically going to be a breakdown, a raw uncut breakdown of how to get $10 qualified leads or even less for your private parties and catering. And the reason I thought I'd really make a video on this is obviously we've done some sort of higher overview breakdowns on how to get more business for this side of your business, so the private parties and catering. But now I kind of want to get into more the nitty gritty of what actually gets you the leads when you're running ads for these types of things, whether that's Instagram or Facebook ads. How do you get these cheaper leads that are also actually qualified? Because I think it's very easy to get, cheap leads these days, but the difference lies in between if they're qualified or not, because that at the end of the day means whether they can actually spend the money you want them to spend at your venue, right? Now, the main thing this really comes down to is clearer communication, right? Because that obviously means you're able to basically target the right kind of customer. You can call out the right kind of customer. They feel like they're being spoken to, which ultimately leads to a smoother sales process. As I said, better targeting and higher quality prospects, right? Now, most marketers will tell you if they're trying to get, highly qualified leads for a relatively cheap amount, that it all comes down to into the nitty gritty things of ad account setup, the esoteric testing strategy of how they specifically use their ABO and ABB and whatever else strategy to actually test audiences and so on, how they set up their ad sets, things like this. Really, things that are mainly just basically communicated to you in a way that make you feel stupid and also don't actually make much sense, right? And the reason most service providers will do this when they're creating content or they're sharing with you their exact strategy behind how they can get you cheap qualified leads for your private parties and catering, the reason there'll be all this fugazi around it is because ultimately what they want to do is make it sound more complicated than it is so that you buy their service, right? That's ultimately what most people are looking to do. So what I decided to do today, and basically what we're doing at Stats AI, is actually creating content to actually be as transparent as possible in regards to how you can do this yourself. And at the end of the day, if you do decide to do it with us, we'll be more than happy to obviously qualify you and see if you're a good fit for our program. But other than that, we still want to put this content out there so that if you want to try it yourself, you can get the results. And if you want to take your restaurant to the next level, you can then get in contact with us and we can go from there. But that being said, let's get into what actually is the main thing which gets people highly qualified leads for a cheap amount. Now, it's not what you probably saw here. Obviously, these have some kind of validity. Like you're going to have, a decent ad account set up and things of that sort. But at the end of the day, that's not what's going to actually be the needle mover in this case. What it usually comes down to, and what we've actually seen for the restaurants we've worked with, is it comes down to creatives. Now, what creatives are, if you don't know, is they're basically either the images or the videos that you're going to see or your customers are going to see on their newsfeed on either Instagram or Facebook when they see your ad, right? So very similar here. I've got some examples of basically some restaurants I found on the ads library. You can do this yourself as well if you're looking for what other restaurants in your local area are running. And yeah, these are basically the creatives that I found. So obviously the one thing that I've noticed and that the rest of our team has really noticed with a lot of restaurants out there, and the reason they're not actually getting the right kind of leads for the cheap amount that you're looking for is because they're not actually focusing on what kind of creatives they're putting out there. As we can see here, these creatives right now, from what I've seen, and these are just like a general output of what I've seen on the ads library, they're very much the same. It's either some kind of stock image of people sitting together and clinking glasses together or eating together, or a really bad quality photo of their food, or even if it's a good quality photo of their food, it's just very boring, right? Like right here, if we just take this example of the on the corner bar. By the way, I've got nothing against your restaurant on the corner bar. I'm just using this to point this out, so you can basically use this as a free lesson if you'd like. So if we just look here, venue hire with a glass. This says nothing about what the restaurant is unique about. It doesn't say anything much to the customer about the experience they're going to get. Basically, all it says is that they have a glass and that they do venue hire, which every single restaurant does, right? It doesn't set you apart and it gives no customer a reason to actually check you out. The second thing here is a very small thing, but it's like they've also made the call to action to visit their Instagram. Most people are not going to take that step to visit your Instagram and then also make a DM, right? Same thing here. It's just pictures. It's nothing really special. And I mean, the one thing that they did do well here is that they have a small piece of copy instead of a big piece. Copy is basically this text here that you'll see on the ad at the top, or the caption. And these guys, I mean, they've basically just put a bunch of pictures together, really not saying much in the same place again. And this really chunky piece of text, which I'm guessing is supposed to set them apart from, I guess, the competitors, and communicate that. But again, if it's a really large piece of text, most people these days aren't going to take the time to do that. You've given them no kind of value as to why they should. There's no incentive, and there's nothing that's actually curiosity driving enough for them to take that step and take that time out of your day, out of their days, right? The one thing you have to realize these days when you are running ads is that people's attention spans are insanely quick, right? I mean, I saw a study the other day that most human attention spans are actually lower than that of a goldfish these days, which is pretty funny. But it does mean that we do have to adapt. We can't just say, oh, okay, well, we're not going to actually, get into that, and we're still going to do the old thing that we used to. That's not the way in which you can work. You have to move with the way in which the market is telling you to move, which is people have shorter attention spans, which means you're going to have to create more engaging content, or content that can hook in customers in an easier way, right? So what were the main points behind why these creatives don't work? As I said, the main thing that's going to actually determine whether your ad succeeds or not is the creatives. And if you have bad creatives, it usually just means the ads don't perform. So why were these not great? Well, first of all, they look like everyone else. Everyone is basically posting these types of ads with these still images. Really boring. And it basically just means you're going to end up competing on price if someone does opt in here. There's no real incentive for people to inquire. I mean, there's no kind of offer that's being presented here. Even if it's not a discount, there's no real offer. There's no scarcity. There's no urgency. And as I said earlier, people work off of incentives. So if that's not there, most likely people won't click. And to be honest, there is a possibility of getting some cheap leads here if you do have some kind of call to action in the middle, or if they did add a little extra piece of text here about an offer, then they could get some possible cheap leads. But again, at the end of the day, they're possibly then also just going to be unqualified and unnurtured, and that doesn't really matter then, right? Last thing is also, obviously, they're boring. The attention span of people is not there, so they're most likely not even going to read any of this, right? So usually what this leads restaurateurs to thinking is, well, Facebook ads don't work, they're a scam. If they've been running these types of ads and then they say, okay, cool, like we're not getting any leads, the leads we are getting are unqualified, that means Facebook doesn't work. Now, obviously, that's not a way in which to actually think about these things. You need to think about things from first principles, and that means actually testing, seeing what works, and moving from there, right? And obviously, most restaurants haven't tested beyond actually these types of pictures, which is why they don't get the results they're looking for. So if you are that type of restaurant, the type of creative you want to be running that gets the best results that we've seen is a VSL, right? Now, a VSL, if you don't know, basically stands for a video sales letter. This is a video that's 30 to 60 seconds long, explaining your restaurant's unique selling points and sales argument, right? Now, why do they work better than images? Now, I'm guessing you can already understand from what I've mentioned here, but I'll just list it out for you. Firstly, it gives a tangible feeling of the experience. If you've got a video that's, the manager or the events coordinator walking through the restaurant, talking about the different sections in the restaurant, the bar, maybe these tables here, the decorations people can set up, the lights, the ambience, things of that sort, that really gives people a feeling of the type of experience they can get rather than just a wine glass on the table, right? Secondly, it builds a quicker connection with the customer, right? If people can actually see there's another person behind the restaurant speaking to them, who they can then envision having a conversation about the event they want to host with, it's easier for them to actually put themselves in that position of being a buyer at your restaurant, or someone who's ready to put money down on some kind of event with you. Thirdly, it sets you apart from everyone. As I said, most restaurants are not willing to either put in the time or they don't have the expertise to actually create a VSL or create some kind of promotional video that allows them to set themselves apart from their competitors in the local area. And so they'll take the path of least resistance and actually just put out one of these images here. So if you can put in the time, if you can put in maybe 1 to 2 hours during the week to create a new creative every single week, test those out and create these types of videos, it'll be very easy for you to set yourself apart from everyone else and get these cheaper leads for higher quality. Fourth thing here is people buy from people. That's what I mentioned earlier. And then the last thing is also attention spans. If you've got a video and you can get a decent video editor, if you already have a social media agency, like a creative agency or anything, they could do this for you. But basically what you want to be doing is creating something which is highly engaging, hooks people in to understand, what exactly you guys are about, what's your unique selling point, and your sales argument in comparison to every other restaurant in the local area. Right. So just to give you an understanding as well as to the fact that these do work, and I'm not talking out of my arse here, to be frank, these are just some results here from two of our clients. So the Breakfast Club, as you can see here, we started recently running campaigns for them. They're getting leads for around £8 here, which is around $10. Same here for the Snooty McMahon. They're getting £6 leads, £8 leads, £8 leads. And by the way, these are all qualified, right? So how do you actually create a winning VSL to get these types of results on a consistent basis, right? So the way in which we actually do so is through our winning restaurant script framework. And that's actually what I'm going to be running you through today. And this is something you can actually use to create these types of videos. Because so far, I've only told you really what not to do and why VSLs do work. So I actually want to break down how to actually do it yourself so that after this, whether you want to use a film camera, if you have a social media agency, or if you just want to pull out your iPhone and get a staff member to actually film you, you can do this yourself, edit it together, put it out there on your ads, and get the results that you're looking for. So the first thing you actually want to do, as I mentioned earlier, people's attention spans are short. So what you want to do is have a really good hook and actually be able to call out the audience you're looking for, right? So you want to call out the audience and add some kind of relatable pain point. So that might be, are you looking to host a birthday party in August and need an exciting venue? Are you a newlywed couple that's looking for an event for your wedding after party? Are you someone who's looking for a venue space for your bachelor party? Are you someone, you get the point, right? You just want to call out the audience you're specifically looking for, and you can then create different hooks for these videos and put them out in different ads to then specifically target those audiences. That's how you do this, right? The second part of that is then also you want to add some kind of pain point or some kind of relatable pain point, which obviously assimilates to that audience. So are you looking to host a birthday party in August and need an exciting venue without having to micromanage the event and be present and have a good time with your friends and family, right? That would be a very good hook. The second part is the authority frame. So the one thing you have to realize is if you're competing with multiple restaurants in your local area to do these types of events or catering, you have to set yourself apart in some kind of form of authority. The first thing this does, it firstly kind of sets the frame for you to be able to actually charge more than most people without having to compete on price. You're now more so competing on the experience and the quality of the experience that people are going to get. And that's why what you want to be talking about in the second part of the video are your accolades, this was spelled wrong, or your awards, any articles you've been hosted in, magazines, things of that sort, anything that basically sets you apart from other restaurants in regards to your sort of status in the local market. Now, the third point is that you want to actually break their belief, right? So this usually comes in the form of the fact that you've already kind of called them out. There's been a hook in the video and they've seen some kind of authority from you, right? Whether that's, as I said, an award, accolades, articles, whatever, right? The third point now is to differentiate yourself from the market with some kind of unique selling point that you guys have. Whether that's, you're the highest rooftop bar and have the highest seating area in the city with great views. Whether that's you have the greatest wine selection in the city. Whether that's, you have something else. You want to use your USP here and call it out and tell them specifically what that is so that they can directly see, okay, cool. Firstly, they've called me out there. They're exactly calling out my pain point and who I am and what I'm looking for. Secondly, they seem really well established in the local market. They've got awards, articles, whatever. And thirdly, they've got this really unique thing which other restaurants don't have, right? And so at this point, you've gone from hook to hook to hook. Now, the fourth point you want to get to is you want to state your process plus the benefits of it. So basically the features of your venue, the features of the offer you currently have, whether that's that you're doing, bottomless drinks with a certain set amount per head, whether that's, people get a free photographer at the venue, that they get live music, things of that sort. This is when you want to list out the actual features that aren't actually that unique to most other restaurants, but these are things which can get them just more and more bought in once they've already hit the first 3 points here. The fifth point then is you want to prove the process works. So what you want to do is you want to call out different case studies that you have. So other people who've hosted events with you, their experience and how many people they had it with, things of that sort. And it's also really good if you have some kind of footage of the events themselves, which you can actually put in with the video. As well, which customers can then see, right? The last thing is then the offer. So obviously then now you want to be basically talking about what they can actually get access to. So for limited time only, you've got the XYZ package or the ABC package. And at this point, this is also where you can start throwing in some scarcity and some urgency, basically saying you're only going to be offering these packages for the next 5 people or for the next 3 people for the next 7 days or whatever that might be, right? It's also really helpful if you're actually being truthful with the scarcity and urgency here, because the authenticity is something usually people can tell as well. The last thing is obviously the CTA, which is basically the call to action. So whether that's you're asking them, okay, cool. So now that I've broken all of this down, are you ready to make a booking for a venue tour, a wine tasting, a free event consultation call, whatever that might be? And this is where then you're basically trying to get that customer from the point of them actually seeing you interrupting their day with something they're interested in, to them now actually taking an action to either see you or take the next action in the sales process where you can then sell them later down the line, right? But what I hope you've understood when I've gone through this entire framework here is that the main thing is making sure you're actually calling out the specific customer, you're targeting their specific pain points, you're showing you have some kind of authority, you're showing that you have something unique about you that other restaurants don't have, you're showing the offer that you have, the features of that offer, and throughout this entire thing, you're making sure that you're going from hook to hook to hook so that it's engaging, people aren't clicking off the video halfway through, you're keeping their attention span the entire way through. When they get to the end, then it's basically just like a hook overload, and they're already so bought in at this point that when you say, okay, cool, we've got the scarcity and some urgency behind this package, do you want to book in a free whatever? They're more than likely to actually do so, right? Which is how we actually get these $10 to $20 leads that are really cheap and of a higher quality, right? I hope that was valuable for you guys. The last thing I want to do is actually show you an example, just one example from one of our other clients in Canada. One of the videos we created for him, or I think this was the one he created for himself here based off of this framework. And yeah, I just want to run you through that so you can get some kind of example.
Attention Brampton, if you're looking to host a wedding event, a reception, a corporate event, or any large gathering, then listen up. We have catered over 50 events here at Heritage India, ranging from elegant receptions to formal corporate events, delivering a 5-star service every single time. And the reason our clients consistently choose us is not just because we have the best food, but because we have not just one, not two, but 6 private dining halls to choose from, and Brampton's largest patio, a fully stocked bar to keep the drinks flowing, and not just buffet style, but also single plate service for all your dining needs. Now with that said, don't just take my word for it. Harpreet hosted her special day with 50 guests attending her wedding in this dining hall. Kajal hosted her Lodi event back in January with over 110 attendees. And Gotham held their corporate event with us, comfortably seating over 70 guests. Now, for a limited time only, we're offering free consultation with our event coordinator to discuss your needs and preferences, and if we think we're the right fit for you, you will be invited to come taste the food, check out the venue, and discuss what needs to be done to bring your vision to life. Now, if that sounds interesting, click on this ad or the link below, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. So I think you guys should have probably gotten the idea there. That's obviously just an example. You can play around with it if you want, but this is sort of the general framework I'd suggest working with. It's how we're getting the results we offer our clients. And yeah, I hope you found this valuable. If you have any questions, pop them in the comment section. I'll definitely get through to them. And I think maybe the next video that we will make is actually how to set up these types of things in regards to the ads manager. Again, if you have any questions, if you want to check out our Instagram, we also post some cool content there. Love for you guys to see that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.